Warcraft has Blizzard's largest news. We've been getting a lot of leaks lately in news, but what is Bellular hinting at here? Let's see what he's talking about.
Welcome back to the news, everybody. Some extremely juicy things have been found on the PTR, and we've got some fresh words from the president of Blizzard that should actually mean quite a lot for the future of the game. Another exciting thing is our game, The Pale Beyond, is actually out on the Nintendo Switch right now.
Oh, damn. Look at Bellular making Nintendo Switch games.
As a narrative adventure RPG, pretty good game to play on the Switch. You can check it out on the eShop. Okay, right then, let's kick it off. So, Warcraft has got the most Blizzcon announcements of any Blizzard IP, according to President
I saw this tweet.
Barra. Now, of course, we know that...
Yeah, this tweet, by the way, was in response to somebody saying World of Warcraft got the smallest section. They're like, why is WoW getting the smallest section? And they got these huge ones for Diablo and Overwatch. And supposedly the tweet back was, don't worry, World of Warcraft has the most announcements of everything, which makes sense. We're going to get a new expansion announcement for sure. So that by itself is going to be massive. And they're probably going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the next patch, too. I think we're getting the next patch right before it. But we'll see.
Barra. Now, of course, we know that Mattson's back. It looks like he'll be playing a
Halloween
big role in
patch time, and then
too.
Raid opens right after. I think it'd be good.
So, Mike said Warcraft and WoW, which does kind of imply there'll be more than just MMO news. Now, in terms of projects, Classic is obviously a bit up in the air.
They probably consider Warcraft Rumble to be Warcraft news, honestly. That's probably what they're talking about in terms of like non-WoW.
Has been extremely successful. I mean, if you hit up Twitch, you'll see that Hardcore is actually regularly responsible for more viewers than Modern WoW. I mean, when WoW Classic launched, believe just after patch 8.2, Classic was actually driving more players than Modern, and I've heard that from sources who would definitely know. And of course, I'm not saying this to bash Modern. I'm just pointing out that Classic truly is an important pillar of the business to Blizzard. Even though, yes, it is inherently a lot harder to monetize WoW Classic than it is to monetize WoW Modern. Of course, if the cycle were to continue, it would be time for Cataclysm Classic. And Blizzard have issued some player feedback surveys on that. But come on, we all kind of know that Cataclassic will be less exciting to people than TBC, Wrath, or Original Classic.
Look, Cataclassic is like easier for them to do. That's why they might do it. It's just like, you know, they're just going to put it, relaunch Cataclysm. Okay, fine. Obviously, a Classic Plus would take way more work, but I think it'd be way more successful. And in terms of like Twitch numbers and people watching Hardcore over retail, Hardcore is much easier to watch. You don't have to even know anything about World of Warcraft or play the game at all to understand what's going on in Hardcore WoW when you're watching it. Because you're literally just watching somebody and you know that if they die, it's game over. And you're just watching them survive fights. And the game is much more, you know, easy to understand. It's clear. This guy's fighting a Murloc. Okay, is he going to survive? Whereas if you're watching, like us, Raid and Retail, it's much more complicated. There's a lot going on. You really have to play the game to understand what's going on when you're watching people raid and shit. So it's a much more watchable product when it comes to Twitch. And that's part of the reason I think why it gets such good numbers.
Then you look at, say, Season of Mastery, and it doesn't seem like that was crazy successful. So you do kind of wonder what they will do.
Yeah.
And obviously,
Ducati,
if Blizzard
right.
wanted truly mammoth gargantuan
The truth is, Classic WoW is the original trilogy. That's what Classic is. It's just the first three. After that, you're getting into Modern WoW.
They would do Classic Plus. I mean, they even have a experimental gameplay team who are a part of the broader Classic team. So it's not like doing Classic Plus would be an impossible thing. This is something we've seen multiple times in the industry, like old school RuneScape, that stands out as the primary example of this kind of thing. But there is a fundamental difference that poses a challenge for Blizz, and that is that RuneScape is a sandbox game. WoW is a theme park. Adding to WoW will be harder, right? You know, you bloat in more and more gear, more and more systems. How do you still not, like, mess up the magic?
Right.
But
how do you not declass
right? If they
it?
were to do some new raids, new bosses, different gear, some content updates that are maybe themed to the old world, add in some more sandbox-style things to the game, I mean, there's a lot they could do. They could do explorations of places as they existed back in that period of the Warcraft canon. I mean, there is plenty of stories to tell there. All very possible. And thinking about the incentives here, for so many people, the idea of classic style gameplay, right? That older, more slower paced feel,
Yeah.
that, but with the notion that it's not a done thing, right? That there will be more content in the future, that would be massive. So if
Here's the
Blizzard
thing, though. Classic Plus would essentially add to the end game, right? I mean, it would add some leveling, but I mean, maybe it wouldn't add leveling. I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't raise the cap level above 60, but it would probably add some like more questing and stuff in this in some new areas of Azeroth. But it's adding to the end game, and honestly, for Classic, no, Classic is not known for its end game. Nobody's gonna sit here and tell you that Classic has a better end game than Retail does, because it doesn't. It's raiding. You can dominate it and go into a raid in Classic and you kill it in one day, clear the whole raid, first time, one shot everything. Raiding in Classic is not known for being like unbelievable. It's fun to go do it, but Classic is really known for the pre-end game, right? It's known for the leveling experience. That's why hardcore is so much fun for people. That's what people love about Classic is exploring the world, leveling through it, questing, doing the stories and everything else. So if you do a Classic Plus and you add to Classic's end game, is that really making Classic better? Won't the leveling experience still be the key? Like, I feel like any endgame content they add to Classic, if it's in true Classic form, will be destroyed in like a week. And that's it. It'll be done. All the raids cleared, and unless they time gate shit, which they probably will have to, it'll be cleared real easy. Because Classic raids are not, they're not difficult at all. They're simple mechanics, and they're supposed to be, because that's how the Classic raiding is.
does this, I do
I'm
think
sure people
they'll
will
see
play it. I
tremendous
just don't know if
results.
it'll
And there
change
are
Classic
actually
that
some
much.
interesting private server examples of this. There's one called Turtle WoW, which is a fan-made narrative expansion. And then, of course,
Yeah.
Ascension does all of its crazy stuff with, like, basically from scratch class building. It's kind of crazy. So I guess just knowing that they've got that classic experimental gameplay team, you do wonder. Obviously, then, Cataclysm Classic could happen. I think if it does, it'll see a lot more changes compared to, say, what Wrath Classic got. Now, of course, the other thing will be 11.0, obviously, right? It'll probably involve Khazalgar, as I've been talking about on the channel, and if it's like recent expansions, we'll get the big cinematic too at this BlizzCon. We'll also then find out how Dragonflight's end will be handled, and that really... that's something that I'm interested to see. I mean, will, as some of those leaks, fake leaks, as they've sort of said, there may be some final confrontation at Emirdrasil, and then that will catapult us via 10.2.5 and 10.2.7 into the story of the next expansion, and that will be that. 10.2 will be the final major raid tier, and Farak will be the final traditional end tier boss of the expansion.
I've been saying it for a while. 10.2 is the end, boys. 10.2 is the end. We're not going to get any more seasons or raid content or anything like that. We could actually get another season without a raid tier, but we're not going to get any more raids. This is it. We'll get a 10.2.5, 10.2.7, and we done. And anyone who thinks we're going to get 10.3, I think you're crazy. There's no way. This is how it worked out last time. We'll probably get Fated raiding, which in and of itself is like a 6-week process because they unlock each Fated raid one at a time, and then they do all 3 at the end for like 3 weeks. So we'll get some kind of mount Fated rating shit, and then we'll move on to 11.0.
I don't know. I'm kind of beginning to feel like that is a likely thing. But
remember Shadowlands?
Wrong. Now then,
by the way, we got the heroic mount in 10.2 too, and that's always been like the final raid. You get the heroic AOTC mount. That's what's happening in this patch too. And in Shadowlands, we didn't get a third raid, or sorry, we didn't get a 4th raid, but we got a another season. So that's still possible.
TV show. This is something a lot of people have been talking about, right? And you can sort of see why if you look at the broader industry.
A Netflix
and this is
series,
no doubt
what?
spurred on by a few leaks, like at least a few of them have been confirmed fake as well. They've been just based off some fan art. But this is not an idea without merit. Mikey Barrett...
I mean, this is possible. There's a whole Netflix series for League of Legends. And I've heard that thing is pretty cool. I've never watched it, but I've always said they should definitely tell some WoW storylines in a Netflix series. Now, I would love the live action, with Henry Cavill as the Lich King, as Arthas Menethil, and you get that story. Oh my God, that'd be unbelievable. But I guess I'll take some kind of animated series too. Arcane, yeah, that's what it's called. People like Arcane.
and Chris Metzen have kind of teased
A
with each
Jailer
other on
series.
Twitter. They responded to somebody wanting another movie by saying, I don't know about a movie, but there are certainly stories we want to tell.
Yeah, I
Now,
actually think a movie wouldn't be the right direction. I think Warcraft storytelling needs to be told in a series, in a Netflix style series or something else where you can go more in depth with character development stuff. One of the issues with the Warcraft movie was they tried to tell too many stories at once. The Horde and the Alliance, they should have probably just stuck to like one faction or something, or told the story from one perspective, because it got just too. If you watch that movie, it's like boom, 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 going back and forth. If you don't know anything about World of Warcraft, you're like, the fuck's going on? Who's the good guy? What is this? What's going on here? They go back and forth so many times. So I think it's better told in some kind of Netflix style series. Like imagine if you tried to put Game of Thrones in a movie, right? Without any context, without the series, HBO series at all, if you tried to, it wouldn't have been as good. The reason why it was good is because they could spend entire episodes teaching you the storylines about certain characters before they fucked it all up and rushed at the end. But before that, it was great because you could learn about the different houses, learn about what's going on, and it never felt rushed, which was good. And I think that's what WoW needs.
how, could that just be Mike Ybarra saying, yeah, it's
You
okay,
just
there'll
want to
be
see
big
Arthas
stories in the game.
Sylvanas? Yeah, why
Or they
not?
may be hinting at
Who
some
doesn't
other
want to see
bigger
that?
thing. I mean, we did see quite a lot of leaks, some of which I believe were actually verified. That at one point there was
Overwatch
some
has good
Diablo
storytelling.
animated content that Blizzard were planning
what
to
you
do.
want about the
I
gameplay.
have to assume that fell
Storytelling's
through the
good.
cracks. But yeah, I do actually think this is the sort of thing that is possible. I do think that Blizzard have a pretty high conviction onto Warcraft and that they will keep this as a major pillar of their business going forward. I mean, just about the only thing that I see is
Some
more
good
and more
movies
investment
in
in the Warcraft brand,
Thrones, for
right?
sure.
So I can actually see them do that. Of course, this would not be in-house. As an example, Arcane, absolutely fantastic. And yes, Riot were heavily involved,
Yeah, that's
but
what we were talking about.
Fortiche were the studio who made that. So Blizzard would need to find some sort of partner to do that with. I'd be interested
Yeah, I don't think Blizzard can do it on their own. But yeah, Arcane, like everybody likes Arcane who's watched it. Everyone tells me it's a very good show.
to see what animation
And
studio
that's
they
the League of
find.
Legends show I was
Finally,
talking
then,
about.
of course, we do have Warcraft Rumble releasing
Yay.
November 3rd
Oh,
during
yay.
BlizzCon. There's actually a neat event in game right now. If you check your mailbox, you'll see the little breadcrumb item. It'll just see you collecting and combining a bunch of Rumble toys, which is kind of neat. And on that topic, they actually dropped
I
a
didn't
whole
finish the
bunch
Rumble quest,
of 3D printing ready files. Yeah, they just dropped them, and that means you can take these Warcraft
Oh, that's
Rumble
cool. You
miniatures,
can print these figurines?
print them either in your own printer or some print-on-demand company, and paint them up, which is really cool, actually.
That is
yeah,
cool.
I don't know. I'd love to sell out my resin printer and do that. Anyway, that's
I
the
don't own a
BlizzCon
resin
news.
printer,
Let's take a stop in with patch 10.2 and talk about release dates. Development appears to be going quite nicely. We've got testing continuing with
Let's
Blizzard
see.
opening
Let's
the
see what his
heavily
prediction is.
tweaked ever
My prediction for release dates has been, and I'm going to stick with it, even though we're getting closer now. I still think patches 10.2 is going to hit on October 31st, Halloween day. Patch is going to hit. You're going to get the new storylines and stuff. Then BlizzCon. Right after BlizzCon, that Tuesday, you're going to get the release of the new season and raid. I know, Tidewell don't believe me. That's what I think. I still think that's what's going to happen. Let's see what Belialar's prediction is.
Bloom and Throne of Tides at dungeons in Mythic Plus recently. There's been plenty of tuning to the raid, and in a move that will prevent a decent few meltdowns, they have nerfed the gauntlet in Dawn of the Infinite.
Yeah.
Now it's
talked
funny, like
about
on
this.
Throne of Tides, they've actually done a portal instead of the elevator, because that elevator could kind of be hell. Kind of interesting to see them all do that.
lost.
Really though, that's the usual stuff. There have been other changes like Ogvoker nerfs, they've slashed embellishments.
They also cut out a lot of the...
Always use another death
Wow,
knight.
Condi coming in with the sub. 10 months. What's going on with the subs today, guys? Thank you so much. Condi, 10 months. Oh my God, Death Knight of our Scourge. Damn. Thank you so much, man. I was going to say they also got rid of a lot of the RP in the Mythic Plus versions of the dungeon, which is good because there's plenty of RP in that dungeon. So it's they deleted a lot of it, so it'll be quicker.
I believe, by 35%.
I know,
for a whole
10
bunch of
months,
them. We're
man.
seeing plenty of class changes and tweaks.
You're a chap,
the
Condi.
usual, right? And of course, with the Emerald Dream Zone itself forming up quite nicely, I think there's pretty much no doubt we'll be playing this very soon. The question, though, is how soon? So let's work that out. Right. Last time Blizzard ran a Turbulent Timeways event, it was before 10.1. And if the same timing happened again, we'd be seeing 10.2 dropping like October 31st.
Wow. Oh, October what? What did he say? What did he say? I told you guys, Turbulent Timeways ends at the perfect timing for patch to hit when? October 31st. Eat shit. Eat shit, chat.
Season 3 starting the Tuesday after BlizzCon weekend, which I don't think...
Wait a minute. What's he saying? Wait, what's he saying? Which I don't think... Hold on.
think would make much sense. That would be really hard to pull off. Plus, there's also this promotional asset that says that people can play upcoming Dragonflight and Classic content. Again, first thing there, new Classic content. Got to wonder what that means.
Hold on.
Is it a new season of Mastery? Is it Classic Plus? And then second, it does use...
Hold on. So he thinks everything's hinting at October 31st, but he doesn't think it's going to happen because it wouldn't make much sense. Okay, maybe I should calm down. Maybe I called the victory before I got the victory. Let's see.
Patch 10.2 logo, which, I mean, if you were playing patch 10.2 in BlizzCon, like, that doesn't feel like it makes much sense if 10.2 is already out. That being said, I do imagine that maybe a section of the starting zone of the new expansion could be playable at this BlizzCon. Maybe if they're adding in a new class or a new race and it has a starting zone, perhaps that will be the playable thing. Anyway, in terms of those timings then, I expect 10.2 to launch Tuesday the 5th, which is just after BlizzCon, and then Season 3 to start the week after that. And with that...
He's wrong. He's wrong. Why? Because I'm just going off of the time walking shit. Don't make sense. No. Yeah, eat shit. No, you eat shit. No, everybody else eats shit. Okay, so it doesn't mean he's right. He's just predicting it, okay? That's his prediction. Mine's the 31st. His is the 7th. All right? Yeah, rip. No, fuck you guys. No, you guys rip. Fucking guys.
Launch. I think that's it for 2023 for World of Warcraft.
I think they're gonna give us the launch date before BlizzCon. They're gonna tell us, so we'll know. We'll know soon.
By that stage,
we'll know soon who's eating a pile of shit.
Now, as I've said before, I do think 2024 is going to have, at the very least, patch 10.2.5, 10.2.7, and then maybe another patch that would coincide with the start of Season 4, which would be your kind of like Shadowlands Season 4 style, greatest hits thing, with us then getting a new expansion pack late Q3, maybe Q4. But of course, BlizzCon will give us all those details. The next big thing to talk about then is lore, actually, because we got some refugee updates in Stormwind and some new lore books. These lore books are really big. They absolutely are working to establish and clarify some big picture stuff that we'll be thinking about for a long while. And I've got to say, like, based on a lot of my theories, the things that I was suspecting, what I thought would be the better way to take some of these plot points, I think it is actually going that direction. So let's get into it. We've got The Tragedy of Erenithra. Our first book tells the tale of a brave green dragon, the best flyer of her time. And
she went over to this new continent, supposedly.
Yet she grew tired, bored. She had been everywhere in Kalimdor. She wondered what was out there to discover. There was maybe more to the world than she knew. And she was curious about this wind that blew in from the west. So she asked Tyr, who solemnly replied, "Beyond the storming sea lies only ruin. Stay close to home, stay close to kin."
See, the storming sea, it makes sense because the Algarian Storm Rider, which is the mount that has been data mined as the Heroic Edition mount. Storm Rider, Stormy Seas, it makes sense that in order to fly over to this new place, you got to be a Storm Rider. You got to know how to fly around in the storm. Interesting stuff. Definitely hints at the next expansion.
She, of course, did not listen. Confident that she could fly over any storm, she took wing, never to be seen again. At least, never to be seen conventionally. Because some green dragons claimed that they saw her in her dreams,
thanks, man.
that she,
appreciate
in fact, reached a land beyond where she raised a brood of her own. The book ends by repeating Tyr, saying, "Beyond the storming sea lies only ruin. Beware the wind from the west. Its call holds only doom. For if you take wing across storm and sea, you share Erenithra's tomb. Which
Erenithra's
is
tomb. Who is Erenithra?
fairly interesting, fairly rough. Again, you know, you think what's west of west. Of course, if you've been reading A Song of Ice and Fire, you'll kind of know what's up there. So then, what's going on?
Erenithria. Hold on, Erenithria. The tragedy of Erenithria. There is lore behind her. The Tragedy of Erenithria book. Oh, it's a book that just got dropped. Okay, so he's probably going to talk about it here in a second. But Erenithria has emerald wings soared above the clouds, the fastest flyer of her day. She feared no enemy, nor to... Okay, so she's the one who... okay, so this is that green dragon who wanted to fly to the other side. All right. Fly to the other continent through the stormy seas.
Tyr never says that there's nothing there. He just says
he never denies
going
that
in
there's
that
something
direction
there.
is bad news and will bring ruin. He doesn't say there's nothing there. So I would not be surprised if perhaps the ruin that he's talking about could be related to the heretics of Avalorn that we've talked about before on the channel.
I think it is related
now, that
for sure.
some say they've seen her in the dream, that is super suspicious, of course. If you ask me, right, this exists as another layer of narrative that Blizzard are building to the other side of Azeroth idea. This is something that they did with Neltharion.
This is probably also related to the Night Squall, you know, and his shit where he sailed to the other side off the coast of Kalimdor, came back, and now wants to build a bigger fleet to go back again. This is all related. I love this kind of like lore shit. This is what I like to do on the stream a lot of times, is dive into this stuff, because this is the kind of stuff that I love to just kind of, you know, theorize about, think about. The Night Squall was a pirate who sailed through the storm and saw what was on the other side, and now he wants to go back too. This is back when we thought there was going to be a pirate expansion. Unfortunately, Blizzard sensed that people like that idea, so they cut it out because, you know, they don't want us to have fun like that. But yeah, a dragon flying through the storm, same thing. She flew through and discovered the other side. Tidewell, I know he doesn't like a pirate expansion. You know, what's wrong with you?
Version of the book,
Who doesn't want to be
The
in
Old
Pirates of
Gods
the
and the
Caribbean?
Ordering of Azeroth, and that they also have done with various texts from Uldaman, and of course all the stuff about the Night Squall. All of this is to say there is something out there west of west. What it is,
Don't go west
we
of
do
the
not
Kalimdor,
know,
go east of the Eastern
but
Kingdoms.
if Tyr says it brings only ruin, you certainly have to wonder. Again, Tyr said that. That was his perspective at the time.
Honestly, at this point, I think anything the Titans tell us not to do, we should do. Because they seem to be totally like... their interests seem to be like literally oppositely aligned with what is best in interest of the people of Azeroth. So anything the Titans say don't do at this point, we got to do it. You talk to Tyr, you tell him, hey, what do you think about jerking off? He says, don't do it. The old gods like to jerk off. You shouldn't jerk. Just then start jerking off immediately. That's what we should do. Because everything they're saying so far has been like totally anti-Azerothian people interest.
We don't exactly know what is there, but I think this is a really nice story. That
What's up? What's up, baby
come on,
J?
Blizzard. It's very obvious there's something at the other side of the planet now. There are hints absolutely everywhere. Okay, next then, let's move to a text that is quite a myth. It basically tells the story of Azeroth's very first world tree. One that was not destroyed by an old god, no. One that was destroyed
Ripped out.
by Aman'Thul. As the story goes,
the Ripper.
Azeroth was deeply...
We're gonna start calling him that, Aman'Thul the Ripper, or the Gripper. I don't know, but this guy just loves to rip shit out of the planet.
corrupted when Agrimar found her. The Titans arrived to purge her of the old god influence.
I bet the Titans say
and as
pineapple.
part of this, Aenar took a gift that was given to her by
I feel like that would be too
Elune.
much disorder
And this
for them. They
gift
wouldn't
was
like
a
it.
branch of Gahanir. Gahanir, of course, is the mother tree of the Emerald Dream. Now, I've long speculated the Emerald Dream is not just an Azeroth thing, that we only really see the Azeroth bit of it.
Yeah,
so when
that's
we
starting to
kinda
look like
see
it's
this
true.
with Gahanir, it seems that Gahanir is not the mother tree of the Emerald Dream of Azeroth. No, that it's like the mother tree, right? Like big tier, not just Azeroth. Anyhow, this gift from Elune is planted by Aenar. And around this tree, which they call Eluna here, life sprouts. All seems well here. Aenar is very happy about this. This life can perhaps fight back against those corrupting influences of the old gods. But to Aenar's surprise, Aman'Thul was furious at this. booming that
not
she had
happy.
introduced chaos to the world, that this isn't ordering a world, that this is just unleashing chaos.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He saw the world tree as disorder. Nature in its of itself, I can tell he doesn't like at all. That's why he doesn't really like the people of Azeroth. Like he pretends like he likes us, but I think he feels like we are disordered. We are disorderly. He doesn't appreciate that shit at all. And I think if he could justify it in his head enough, he would just destroy us.
the tree and he ripped it.
But I think for now we make sense to him and we're useful to him because we protect the planet. We protect Azeroth from the most part from invasions and all kinds of other shit. That's why he's keeping us around. Otherwise, I think he would just end us.
From the earth, but unbeknownst to him, its roots held.
He
So
sees us as food
Aenar
for the world
had
soul,
Freya,
yeah,
her
or
keeper,
protectors of the world
watch
soul.
over the land where the tree is, to nurture it, I suppose, to foster the deep connection to the Emerald Dream that, of course, we see in World of Warcraft. Now, you might hear this story and think, what's Amanthil on about? Plants are nice. What about all those green dragon friends we have and plant friends that we have? And you may
Yeah.
also think, surely Elune and the Titans are great friends. Well, I mean, not exactly, because these are all beings playing their different roles in a story, and I suppose
They don't like free will beings, right? That's what nature brings. That's what like Stoic is saying here. The Titans created a lot of the races on Azeroth, not trolls, because those are more native to Azeroth. But I'm talking about like humans, gnomes, dwarves. Those races were created by the Titans, but we had no free will. We were stone boys, essentially. We were just made of stone and elements and rocks and shit like that. We were just meant to protect the planet, keep the surface clean, cleanse that shit all the time, until the old gods came, gave us Curse of Flesh, and gave us free will. Now, the Titans could have came and just eradicated us at that point, but I think it was too difficult for them to do that without kind of hurting Azeroth or hurting the planet. So they're like, you know what? We got these free will beings. Let's lie to them a little bit. Let's convince them that we're the good guys, these old gods are the bad guys, and maybe we can still use them to protect the planet. And essentially, that's what they've done up to this point. We haven't really known that they were lying to us up until now. So now we're starting to cross that line back into, well, now the Titans are going to start to look at us and this free will thing's becoming a problem. Maybe we should get rid of them. Yeah. The old gods were here before us. We came after. Yes, but what's it called? Their Curse of Flesh didn't happen as soon as we hit the planet's surface. That came later.
Look at the pantheons of, older cultures on Earth, and yes, their gods
elemental
got
lords
up to
were
all
from
sorts
Azeroth,
of
yeah.
strange stories and had all sorts of fallings out. Anyhow, life. Think about what weeds can do. They can crack a pavement, and left to time, cities and towns are reclaimed by the environment. So to Amanthil, unleashing life is a big mistake because it's very hard to control. Jeff Goldblum, Ian Malcolm, he's not wrong.
If you want to think about it a certain way, you can think about it. Yeah, the whole Black Empire was here too. You can think about like the Black Empire and everything about them is kind of like a virus, right? It tried to infect Azeroth. The immune system of Azeroth was really the elements, the elementals and all that shit. They had their the elemental lords and everything. They were fighting against the Black Empire for a long time. So that was almost like Azeroth's immune response. And then what were, us, the people that the Titans put on the planet, the Stone Boys and all shit, we're like a medication or a vaccine or something, right? Like it's something, and like an otherworldly thing that the Titans brought down to also help fight against this infection that was the old gods. But then the old gods kind of fucked around and used that, they found out, there's this medication or vaccine that they're trying to use. Let's corrupt it a little bit. Let's try to flip this shit on our side. So that's essentially what's been going on here is like just everybody fighting over infecting or keeping it pure, trying to just fight over the world soul of Azeroth. We're like an antibiotic, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Life finds a way. And we actually see how wrong this goes in one of the time rifts that we venture into in patch 10.1.5. In this time rift where Azeroth is called Ulduroth, right? Ulduroth, Titans, Ulduar, right?
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
kind
They
of
like to
imply this
ul
is
shit.
the world
Yeah.
in a sort of Titan utopia. But no, in Ulduroth, the wild forests have completely dominated Azeroth. And when you actually start reading the things that you find there, it turns out the Titan Keepers just get destroyed. The whole place is total chaos, and it's got so bad that they've been forced to build Titan Keepers that rather than being bigger and stronger and able to fight, no, They've had to build Titan Keepers that are smaller and better at hiding in caves away from all of the dangerous flora and fauna, because the larger ones just get destroyed. That's what Aman'Thul is worried about. And to look at the world of Draenor, think about the Everbloom, which is indeed one of the dungeons that is in the next season of World of Warcraft, obviously for a reason, because at the very end of the
I didn't
Everbloom
realize there were
dungeon,
lore reasons behind that, yeah.
Stormwind gets threatened in a really, existential way, that the city could have been destroyed by the Everbloom spreading there.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
That's the kind of thing that
I always liked this end of dungeon fight. I always thought it was one of the coolest end dungeon fights, because you're literally on the edge of Stormwind, and this is a real place that you can go to, in current Stormwind as well. That little platform there where you do the fight, it's there. And this is really cool that the Everbloom almost took over, and you fight him right here on the edge of Stormwind.
Is worried about. That's what
it almost
feels.
makes it feel like it's
when
not
he sees
instanced.
Aenar just unleash this life rather than bind it, as her title would suggest, he of course gets rather pissed. Now, Aenar does have the last laugh here, because Aman'Thul doesn't notice that the roots are still alive, so she's able to leave Azeroth very happy that Freya will nurture the gift given to her by Elune.
Yeah, that's why that was there.
Aenar ensures that life that really Elune, pardon the pun, has strong roots in Azeroth. And obviously, you look at cultures in Azeroth, such as the Night Elves, and Elune has played a major role. Yep. Now, to me, all of this lore really does check out. There's I suppose, a difference here in that we have a lot more information on what Freya's role in all of this was. To me, though, that's doesn't feel like a big retcon. I think this is just more elaboration and detail that I find to be satisfying enough, that kind of does fit into how I see a lot of these stories.
I agree.
And a lot of this is actually really clarified in our third lore book that we find in patch 10.2. This book basically dives into the true source of the Emerald Dream. It clarifies the role of Aenar and Freya, and it makes it very clear that the Titans did not create the Emerald Dream. It basically says that at a time, and time may not even be the right word, this is so ancient, what happened is the first spirits awoke. They awoke in the place that we know as the Emerald Dream, and
so is Elune one of the first spirits then?
So essentially what this book is doing is it's confirming that rather than the Emerald Dream being a big Titan construct that a bunch of them built, that the dream actually is something that's far more essential to creation, to the universe, right?
Interesting.
The Titans found it, and they tried to use it, but they did not make it. And this is basically the point of view character essentially journeying far. And here's the quote. Life took forms strange and unfamiliar. Bizarre, impossible plants and trees. Creatures unlike any I beheld before. Perhaps the dream is bound not only to Azeroth, but to realms not yet discovered. Is it a reflection of those places too?
Yeah,
at these far
not
reaches,
just Azeroth,
I felt the presence of entities whose power seemed vast and unknowable, akin to the Titans themselves. Had I reached the edges of the dream?
Maybe she's talking about Elune here. That's what it seems like. I always wondered why the Titans would like nature, because nature seems very uncontrollable. Nature unchecked, just grows everywhere without control. And the Titans hate things that can't be controlled. So this makes sense now that the Emerald Dream is not a Titan creation.
Where it flows into the realms of life, and it goes on. So what this essentially is clarifying what you could call the Lifelands, but I think we all know that is not going to be dealt with in a Shadowlands-like way.
Right.
And I like this a lot, because this is very unlike what kind of angered me about the Shadowlands, where the Shadowlands just kind of felt like, okay, we're going to grab a bit of Europe, a bit of Greece, a bit of this, a bit of that, we're going to throw in a bit of Walt Disney, and there you go. We have very constructed feeling.
Why are they showing
theme
Orbos?
Parks full of things that we like.
I fucking hate that.
And it didn't really feel like a core part of Warcraft. To me, it all felt quite constructed.
Yeah.
Whereas here, this feels so much more mythological, This feels like it could inspire wonder.
I love Shadowlands.
So this is a
That's why I
way of
rewrote the
exploring
Jailer.
this kind of thing that, to me, actually works. In the same way that, say, the Twisting Nether was a big mysterious thing back in the day, right? These things were sort of mysterious and primal, as opposed to oh yeah, it's the Shadowlands. You can hop through a portal and talk to your nan. which
Yeah.
didn't feel good. So I actually quite like this. Anyhow, as the text progresses, our author realizes
Purpose was the
how
best part.
singular the Titans are in their thinking, and beyond that, they realize that dragons and mortals, that they're not products of just life and order, that actually they're kind of products of all the different forces, all intertwined, together. And they speculate that Azeroth herself may be like that as well.
Okay.
Essentially, in that the more that we're just like creatures and, things that exist that are just, a product of creation, and the less that we are, a bit of column A, bit of column B, bit of column C, kind of constructed together. Again, that just feels better to me, I suppose.
Yeah, it
this
does
is also
feel
quite
better.
bang on what I think's going on with Azeroth. Like, I don't think that Azeroth is a Titan at all. I think that whatever a world soul is in this cosmos, it's a very natural, it's a natural thing. And I think that the Titans are...
It's a natural thing that the Titans are trying to make sure naturally goes into order, I guess. Well, the old gods are trying to make it more chaotic. So that's interesting.
one of many groups going around trying to claim it for their own ends.
Right, there are
And
both
to be
sides are
honest,
just trying
the
to claim
idea
this
of
world
Azeroth
soul's
just
power.
being a thing, whatever she is, I think that is a lot better than Azeroth just being a Titan egg. Yeah, there's a sentience, there's a being.
I wonder if
there.
Blizzard
I'm
knows what
totally fine
Azeroth
with
is.
that.
Maybe they're still trying to figure that out.
Like that's an interesting conception of a godlike figure in a fantasy universe.
Azeroth is the Anakin of WoW, basically.
Yeah, I think put that way, I just prefer it to Azeroth being a little Titan egg that, I don't know, Aman'Thul sprinkles some miracle grow, he waits a few million years, and Azeroth just gets up one day. This feels better. And I was there whenever the whole planets are Titan eggs thing happened. And I remember my first reaction to that was, ugh, I don't like that at all. This feels weird. I don't know. I kind of prefer this.
Yeah, I do
let's
too,
talk about
actually.
Refugees. So Worgen and Night Elves have actually left Stormwind in the PTR.
Yeah, they're
Many
going
have
home.
resettled around Mirdrasil in the Dream. Now, them being sat in Stormwind for years was really getting a bit silly. But a lot of people are kind of worried. They're thinking, is this a permanent thing? Really? The Night Elves and the Worgen, they're just going to live over here instead of, Gilneas and the
No,
Night
Gilneas
Elves?
has to come back. That's dumb. If they just put the Worgen at the new world tree, that's dumb. Gilneas is a great in-game asset. There's no way that the Gilneans have been unable to cleanse this curse of Worgens just running around. Like, really? They're just going to abandon the city forever? They literally still have a leader. They still have Greymane. Like, Greymane could get all the Gilneans together and retake Gilneas. There's no reason that can't happen. Yeah, Worgen pirates, yeah. Yeah, I don't see a reason why Gilneas wouldn't be eventually retaken. I think that is going to happen.
Forests that we all loved in Warcraft 3. And I don't think this is a permanent thing, actually.
Yeah, I don't think it's
that at
permanent
all.
either.
I mean, on the one hand, we've had a developer say that when Gilneas is retaken, that's something that will happen in-game, not in a book. Which to me
Yeah.
says they kind of want
the
that to
furries.
happen. And then,
Give the
while
furries a home.
the
It's
Night Elf
okay.
Heritage questline is rather maligned, it did feature moonwells being cleansed so that the lands of really the Night Elf home territories, so that they may be healed. I believe that was being done in Taronda's orders as well. Like the priest or whatever that was in peril that you go to save, that's what they were doing. They were cleansing the moonwell to help heal the land,
Right.
from the whole Battle for Azeroth thing, which to me kind of says, I mean, you're probably healing the land because you want to go back home, right? So I think they're clearly working towards a rebuild. And to me, the idea of, the Worgen and the Night Elves finding their permanent home, that seems like expansion material to me, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, again, hey, revamp. Wouldn't that be exciting? And,
Revamp it indeed. Revamp it indeed. Yeah, look, faction cities and hubs. Look, there's the obvious ones that need to be fixed. We're talking about Undercity, talking about Gilneas, shit, even Nomergon, man. But like whether or not they'd be cross-faction, I don't know. I think the best city that has a chance at being cross-faction is Silvermoon. Like if they ever revamped Silvermoon, put it into like the main storyline of an expansion, I think Silvermoon could be a cross-faction city because you do have already like Blood Elves on the Horde side, right? But then you have now like High Elves are canon. We know they're there. There's still some of them there. And the Void Elves, which are Alliance. All three of those races think of Silvermoon as their home. They do think of it as a home hub city for them. So you do have both factions getting like viable claim to Silvermoon in terms of like, oh, there'd be a reason for this to be a bifactional city. And they're what's it called? Their leadership has been nice. Like they in the quest line for the Void Elves, they did allow the Void Elves to come to the Sunwell because they believed that was a rite of passage for all High Elves or all like High Elf descendants. Now they fucked it up a little bit when they got close to it because they're voidy and shit and tentacles came out and stuff. So I don't know how he feels about that, but all in all, a Silver Moon is could certainly become a bifactional city. I could see that happening if they ever actually what's it called? Uprest it. But yeah, I think that's the next thing is healing of the Dead Scar and rebuilding Silver Moon.
I'll repeat again. I do not think
you also have
Revamp
Lordaeron
will be announced at this
could be
BlizzCon.
rebuilt.
Well,
That's
maybe it
another
will be
bifactional
announced, but I
chance.
don't think it's the next expansion anyway. No, I think the next expansion is going to be this Khazalgar stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the expansion after that.
We're gonna
will
focus
be the
on some
Revamp
dwarfs.
project. But anyway, there we have it. There is really so much lore to dive into with these books and their full implications. So we will have content out in the channels next week. And if you want all of the detail on what we know about 11.0, then check out this video next. And if you want to check out The Pale Beyond on Nintendo Switch, it's on the eShop.
Yeah,
And of
look at
course,
that,
it's on Steam as well.
Pale Beyond. Awesome video. Yeah. A lot of this stuff's really interesting with the Emerald Dream and everything. All these realizations we're having about what Azeroth could actually be. And of course, the going forward, the capital cities. Definitely. I mean, we know the Night Elves are getting theirs. Will the Worgen get theirs? Will Lordaeron come back? All questions that could be answered here going forward. Great video from Bellular.